The other side of that was just like, all right, if we're going to do property management, we're not going to do it as a solo burnout, just hating our lives, right? So we're going to do it together, and then it's got to be fun too. And so I feel like our brand has really helped us to kind of keep those guiding principles of together and fun.
Welcome to Unfiltered, the official podcast of propertymanagement.com. I'm your host, Dylan Scroggins, joined by the crew out of Helena, Montana, Bigfoot Management Group. We got a crew today. It's the first time we've had the multi-guest podcast. We got Josh Bibeau, CFO. We got Beau Stumberg, Chief Development Officer. And we got Dustin Rinker, CEO. Gentlemen, how are you?
Good,
Doing
man.
good. Yeah.
Doing awesome.
Happy to
Awesome.
be here.
Yeah, and how's life in Montana? Because when I think of Montana, all I think about is Brad Pitt and Legends of the Fall. I'm guessing it's not like that all year round.
It's not
Well, it's
quite
great.
that
It's
depressing, but
great right now. There's no snow. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I was expecting like you guys think you look like Brad Pitt coming or something. So, Bo, I see a little bit there, man, with the beard.
I
So,
appreciate that. Yeah, thank you.
well, good stuff, guys. Well, I'm excited to talk today. You know, we're always looking for unique stories on Unfiltered. And just the fact that you guys, I've said it before, living the dream, building a business, living in Montana, and doing it with friends. I'd love just to back up and hear how did everything get started? What prompted you guys to build the property management group? And Dustin, I'm going to put you in the spot initially. But yeah, tell us the story.
yeah, there's two stories. I'll let Beau tell his because we actually came together later. We were two separate companies and we came together a few years ago. But Bigfoot, Josh and I started Bigfoot together in December of 2019, really out of the ashes of another management company that imploded due to some security misuse and some other issues. But, that company allowed Josh and I to cut our teeth in the property management business and get a lot of volume and experience in leasing and, all the skills necessary to be successful. Yeah, we hit the ground running with, I think it was 12 units, January 1st, 2020, Josh, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And all 12 were clients that were from that previous management company. And out of there was more than 300 units in that company before. We didn't, there was not a whole lot of confidence maybe that we were going to be able to keep sailing the ship forward. But that's where we started.
That's awesome. Yeah, and Beau, I met all of you at Broker Owner last year. And Beau, I remember a little bit of your story. Is that your dad had a portfolio or something? Correct me where I'm wrong.
No, yeah, you're right on. My dad started investing in properties when I was a kid. And then after I got out of college, I spent a couple years, wandering around. And then he said, do you want to come back and help manage? And so I moved back to Helena in 2016. And the following year, I got my property management license and actually launched my own property management company with my dad as the sole client. And then, fast forward, I guess it was probably 5 years. I think it was 2021 when I joined with these guys. But during that 5 years, I built the business up a little bit, took on quite a few other clients. And then I met these guys. I had just seen their stuff around town. And one day I was having lunch downstairs from their old office and walked upstairs and just knocked on the door and met Dustin. And then we got lunch a couple weeks later and kind of started building a friendship. And then I don't know how long it was that we were just kind of hanging out as friends, but one of my key employees decided to leave. And at that point I was they're going to probably pursue something outside of property management, or I proposed to these guys. I said, hey, why don't we join forces in portfolios and see if we can grow this thing into something bigger? And yeah, my pitch was, I think we can go further, faster together than on our own. And that's totally been the case. We're 4 years into this thing, I think. And I can't remember exactly what our combined portfolio was when we joined. I think it was just maybe over 200, maybe it was 230, something like that. Does that sound right, guys?
I think you're right. It felt like, oh man, we jumped over 200. overnight, and it felt pretty cool.
Yeah.
What's your total door count now that the business is stabilized with the joint venture?
We just eclipsed 700 at the end of this year, or at the end of 2025. So I think we're at like 706 or somewhere around there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Congrats.
we've experienced quite a bit of growth in the past 2 years, which has been very cool.
That's awesome. See, I have this image of you guys knowing each other since middle school and like flipping houses after recess. But that's cool to know that I guess in a lot of ways it's still not a new venture. You've obviously, got the foundation. And tell us more about Helena. Did I just mispronounce that again? No, I actually did
No,
it right. Helena. For those listeners, there's a Helena about 20 minutes from me. So this is going to be a pretty tough tongue twister here. But the reason I'm asking is that we have plenty of listeners that we've talked to in Austin, in Phoenix, in larger markets, but also we've got some feedback from people in smaller markets who really enjoyed some of the conversations. So tell us about the landscape there, what it's like, and even having 700 doors. I mean, are y'all the biggest PM group there?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
And there's maybe 35,000 approximately in the city of Helena, maybe a 20-minute radius from the center of Helena, maybe starting to push towards 100,000, maybe something like that. Depends on how far you draw the line. But there's quite a few people in the surrounding areas and a few smaller cities that are within an hour that are really commuter towns. And yeah, it's the state capital, so we see a lot of housing stability here that some of the other markets and the cities don't see, because those state employees are getting paid regardless of performance. So you just see a huge amount of stability that brings to the market. Yeah, I think it's over 40% renters in our market. There are a good chunk of property management companies, but yeah, it's been really good. It's been really good. I think that as we've grown, we've only really seen year over year acceleration of growth. So it hasn't quite slowed down yet. But I think we're getting to the point where we're ready to start being a lot pickier about the type of clients we want, the type of products that we want, make sure they're aligned with our brand, that line of thinking, not to downsize, but to maybe continue to grow, more intentionality along those lines.
Cool. You said the G word, growth, right? So 200-ish to 700, that's a lot in a short amount of time. I'd love to hear the challenges first. Obviously, there's a lot of good things that come with that, but talk to me about some of the challenges. I'm assuming you've had to grow your team. I'm sure there's been different processes. Not sure if y'all run EOS or not, but yeah, tell me about the growth and maybe some of the pain points of that. And Josh, you being the numbers guy, I'm sure you're the one, feeling a lot of that crunch. So talk to me.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest skills that we've had to, I think all of us would probably agree, is just like hiring, training, keep retaining. That's been a really big hurdle, and it feels like we are finally to a good spot of like being able to hire and keep people well at this point. But time will tell if we're actually doing it at the best we can, and it's always a moving target. But I think it's like as we grow, what our team undoubtedly needed to grow as well. Yeah, and just systemizing, what does it mean to onboard a new employee? Like what should be expected of them initially, and then what happens when they're not hitting their marks, hitting the expectations? How does it work? Yeah, I think funny enough, I'm about to say like one of the proud moments was like firing somebody this year, but it was like a necessary, like we had given the feedback. We had tried to put the path and tried to give them the tools, and it just wasn't working. And so eventually let them go. And it was just like the team around them was very grateful that they were, that they were let go. And it's just like, all right, I think we're okay. Like we're building, we're building the systems, we're doing what we need to. And like, if we do have somebody that shouldn't be in that seat, like it's going to drag folks down.
A lot of my background's on the recruiting side, and I've rarely talked to a business owner, especially in property management, who terminates someone and then thinks, I shouldn't have done that. typically it's like, man, like why is my why is my whoop saying that my blood pressure's down, right? It's rarely a regretful experience. And it's unfortunate, right? Like it's people's lives at the same time. Just typically should have been done 6 months before. And then I know we've talked a little bit. Oh yeah, by the way, speaking of your team, I looked at your website. Big or Sasquatch or Bigfoot is listed on your site. That's great. People are looking for Bigfoot. They don't know that he just works with y'all.
Yeah, he's just here. He's here in the office.
Do y'all use the Bigfoot like in marketing or anything? Like, what does your local marketing look like? Because I feel like y'all have so much collateral you could use.
Beau, you want to take
Yeah,
that?
yeah, we do. It's funny when we joined forces. My previous business was Blue Pine Property Management, which was safe and kind of generic feeling, and I kind of pushed back on these guys, like, "Oh, Bigfoot, it seems kind of it could be tacky, whatever. It's kind of outside of our normal industry type stuff." But we get constant good feedback about the name and the logo, and then in the past, I'd say 2 years or so, when we have kind of ramped up some marketing. I mean, we don't do a ton, but we do some, um, and yeah, a lot of positive feedback on, just kind of playing around with the character of Bigfoot, which is fun. And even at the NARPM conference where we met you, a ton of people commented on our name and just thought it was fun.
Yeah, I
So
feel like there could be a great like Bigfoot as a tenant, and him just like accidentally like ripping out a shower or something. I feel like there's some potential there. I think like the old Geico caveman. We'll talk to your marketing team later. Yeah, because a lot of the brands in property management, they're straight out of 1994. So I feel like what you guys are doing with the modern look is awesome.
The original tagline was because a good property management company is impossible to find. Oh,
Ooh, that's good. That's
so
really good. Y'all got to bring that back.
yeah, but that was the original idea. And Josh and I, when we were playing around with the ideas, in December of 2019, it was, we at that point we had done enough property management to know how bad it sucked in some ways. And so if we're gonna do this, we gotta try to have as much fun as we can. So that was a part of it.
Yeah, and I think the other side of that was just like, all right, if we're going to do property management, we're not going to do it as a solo burnout, just hating our lives, right? So we're going to do it together, and then it's got to be fun too. And so I feel like our brand has really helped us to kind of keep those guiding principles of together and fun. So it's
Yeah.
been a good
I,
journey.
I I feel like I hear the other F word more than that F word in property management. Typically, people are not having fun, but you're right. I mean, there's a lot to be said with building a business with friends. I think it's awesome. So let's kind of talk a little bit more business, because I want to touch on this, because it sounds like this is something that you guys do well. But I'm assuming, please correct me if I'm wrong, that you brought maintenance in-house at some point from 200 to 700 doors. Maybe it was already in-house at Bigfoot before you combined, but walk me through what it's looked like to grow from 200 to 700. And let's get a little brass tacks on the maintenance side. Dustin, I heard you're the guy to talk about this, and then we'll zoom out more to the industry as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just like many companies, we use 100% vendors for a while. And as we continue to grow, it was trying to meet timelines for unit flips, trying to meet quality control standards that we were trying to set for ourselves, trying to meet, tenant expectations for, the customer service side. Like if you send a vendor in to do a service request, what is their experience like? We realized that as that volume continues to grow, we just want and need more and more control over what that experience is like across the board. And we brought in another friend to help, who was in a position to help us with some handyman type work. And it started very slowly. So I remember his first work order was, just one week fixing the doorknob on Travertine Way. If you remember, Josh. So I remember the first work order Sean ever did. And it was, it just grew from there, when we realized that it is so much easier to use somebody we trust in-house with these requests, and their priorities and schedule is our priorities and schedule. The way that they do things is the way that I tell them to do things, and the system that we build together is going to be what the tenants experience. And so you can have control what the expectation is going to be, and then hopefully more of what the outcome is going to be. Some of it just Murphy strikes, right? Like some of the times you can't always control all the outcomes, but if you can control more of the levers on our side and build out the maintenance product specifically for property managers, the outcome has been amazing. And so about half of our team right now is on the maintenance side, between cleaning, service maintenance, facilities, the flips, all of that. And I think if we just hired another guy today to join our team. And I think we're at, correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, I want to say we're at 18 if we include the hire today and our remote team members. So, and about half of those are on the maintenance side. And yeah, and I've also talked about it and thought about it this way. It's like you're either going to have vendor problems, right? It's like, hey, can you come back and fix the mess that you just made, right? And then also, can you take ownership and then not bill me again, right? There's going to be these vendor issues that happen, or for sure there's employee problems, right? There's the training, the hiring, firing, trying to disseminate our culture into the teams. There's a lot of effort that goes into all of that. But either way, you're dealing with a similar problem. But you just have more argument, and our experience has been that we have more control over the teams that are internal. It's been amazing, and I think it's been something that's really offset us from the rest of the crowd in the property management in our market. I think we are the only company that has a truly robust maintenance team. Some of them might have like the one handyman helper, who helps them with a few things, but none of them do 100% of their own flips, 90% of their own service requests, that kind of a thing. And we've been able to achieve some really great metrics because we've brought it all in-house. So anyway, you can ask me more questions, I suppose, because I can keep rambling on about it. But
yeah, well, right before the call, we were talking about, you prepping for the Christmas party. And this is the fun time to have a conversation because it's typically you've evaluated 2025. You're looking forward to 2026. So I'll, kind of open here to everybody. What's something that you feel like you did really well in 2025? And what's something that you're looking to do more of in 2026, maybe like an area of improvement? The reason I'm asking is that, once again, people are listening to this podcast to get practical nuggets. So would love to hear what you guys got cooking up in Helena.
Beau, you want to comment?
Well, yeah, I mean, so I kind of see or oversee like new owner onboarding, new client acquisition, some of that stuff. And we had this goal of for 2025, we had a goal of onboarding 100 units. And, I think it was in July maybe or August, where like, there's just no way, I think we were at like 60 or something. And then fast forward a month or two, and a number of existing relationships we had kind of came to us and said, hey, you might manage this for us. We want to give you more units over here. And we didn't quite hit our goal, but we were very close over 2025 in terms of new owner acquisition. And I think some of that was just like doing what we say. We just, hey, we're going to get in and we're going to make some corrections to your portfolio or this apartment building or whatever, and just being really intentional about actually doing the work. And then it proves us to the client, and then the client trusts us and is willing to give us more units or more business in one way or another. So I'd say we did a really good job of that. And just was your follow-up question that what was one thing we did not so well in 2025?
Yeah, just one thing you're looking forward to doing in 2026 that maybe you didn't do in 2025.
Well, the next big step that we've been working on, and this is again kind of my baby, is we're going to bring in brokerage services under our umbrella. So we'll start offering, sales services basically. Montana is not a state that requires that you have a real estate license to be a property manager. They have a designated property management license that prohibits you from doing sales or acquisitions or whatever for clients. Josh and I have both been licensed agents, and now we're kind of taking the leap to bring it in-house, and we'll kind of build out an arm of our business that is focused on, serving our current owners and helping them buy or sell their properties, and then also work with tenants who are looking to buy and transition to home ownership. So we're excited about that.
So that's a good segue because, Beau, putting you on the spot here, I feel like I've talked to a lot of property management owners the last 2 years, and I work a lot with the hiring and figuring out titles and responsibilities. You were the first CDO I've ever talked to, so Chief Development Officer. I think it's awesome. I think it makes sense, but for the wider audience who might be asking, wait, what do you do? You've obviously hinted at it a little bit, but tell us more about your roles and responsibilities as a CDO.
Yeah, and that title feels a little bit probably bigger than it is.
No, man, make it bigger. Make it bigger.
Well, I mean, I kind of oversee marketing. I mentioned new client acquisition, onboarding. So the way that looks, and we've learned. I mean, we're always working on it, but I think we've learned. I need to get the contract signed, the property into our system, and then I can kind of hand it off to Dustin and his team to do the lease up or whatever. The actual property management after that. And then in terms of development, some of it is just, I mean, I would say the benefit of us, there being three of us and having three partners, is that there is space and time for us all to kind of step out of the business and start looking at it and thinking about what more could we do or what should we do. I mean, I know for me, I was essentially a solo operator for 5 years, and I was just so busy doing the technical aspects of property management. It was nearly impossible for me to think about branding or brand awareness or how we can serve our clients better or whatever. So I'd say some of my role has become just company culture, trying to make sure we have a good company culture. I think all of us do a good job with that. I mean, it's certainly not just me, and then again, I would say for the past 6 months, one of the biggest things that I've been working on is this brokerage, offering brokerage services, which we're going to be a property management first company. We don't ever expect that we'll become bigger on the real estate side. However, it's another arm of our business that we think will be profitable and will serve our clients better if we can offer it. So I don't know if that answers your question. Again, it's kind of ambiguous.
That's great.
I think everybody sometimes is like, what does that guy do? And I'm like, I don't know. It's different every day.
No, that's awesome. Well, cool. Well, to zoom out, I think y'all given some great intel on just like the history and the inner workings of Bigfoot, but the property management industry as a whole. Once again, I know everybody's focused on their local market, but would love to hear some of y'all's thoughts and insight of certain trends you might be seeing, whether they're in Helena or not. Like, what are some things in the property management industry as a whole that get you excited or concerned about the direction of the industry?
Yeah, I'll jump in there. In our market, um, I can comment at least in our neck of the woods, what's happening, in terms of leasing, some of the trends that we're seeing as far as the supply goes, talking to and looking at other, other data sources, it seems like it's the similar trend. But yeah, we've seen a lot more supply, and less demand. Post COVID, Montana was one of the places that people were going to. And, so we saw a huge influx of population, and also then a flurry of building. And now the building has continued, but I think the migration has a way slowed down. And so we're seeing that finally catch up to us. And so we see more supply right now on the market than really I've ever seen, which is good. It's healthy for our market. It's not particularly great for us though in our leasing efforts. And so we're leaning into, starting to separate ourselves from all the competition, having the best marketing, the best photos, videos, being the most responsive. And so as far as trends go, and maybe we're on the back end of this, the remote team members have been a thing for a long time. But we do have 2 full-time remote team members now in the company, and that has been an incredible value add for us.
Where are they located?
They're both in Mexico.
Cool. So similar time zone. That's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anybody else on some insight for the trends?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I mean, I think one of the things that we heard from the NARPM conference last year was this language of asset management, and property managers kind of making a sort of transition to that role, recognizing that for a lot of our clients, this is their retirement portfolio or whatever that we are managing. And we're excited about trying to be in that vein of property management company. We haven't done a ton on that front. I know there's a lot of tools out there that we were introduced to and we haven't taken the leap with them, but I'm excited to see what that leads to in the industry. Just, I think it is kind of it's a more sophisticated version of property management that sets you apart. I mean, certainly would set us apart in our market from our competition. So I think that's an exciting trend that we're seeing.
Cool. Yeah. The narrative, the perception, it does make sense. Well, cool. Well, as we start landing the plane here, this is a question that we asked on a whim to a a friend guest about 2 months ago. We've just added it to the rotation. Property management's a hard business. Every business is a hard business, but you guys aren't, YouTube content creators, golfing with celebrities, right? Like this is a hard business and you get kicked in the teeth a lot. So not putting you on the spot, but I mean, you were just escorting a police to a property about an hour ago. Appreciate you joining us. Even a great business like Bigfoot and what y'all have built, like you're obviously are talented guys doing something great. You're still going to have a ton of hard days. So where am I going with this? It's a hard business. And for some people, it kind of makes them bitter and cynical. But a lot of the people that we've had on the pod, they feel like it's made them better people. So we just like to ask, what are some ways that owning a property management business and working in it day in, day out, how has it changed you as a person these last, 5-10 years?
Yeah, I mean, I think in my own journey as a property manager, when I first started, I remember I was hot off of the property management prerequisite course here in Montana, write everything down, just like lay down the law, which I was very into for a few years. It just backfired on me a few times when I just wasn't putting any sort of emphasis on the relationship I have with either tenants or owners. And certainly a more well-rounded person after basically 10 years in the industry. And like you said, getting kicked in the teeth occasionally, sometimes because I deserved it and sometimes because people are just mean. But I think it kind of helps keep things in their right place when you realize not everything is a huge deal. And like we've dealt with some situations that are a big deal or are, pretty serious. And then a lot of stuff is not a big deal and you got to kind of keep it where it should be. So I'm grateful for the industry for that, just being in property management. I feel like I'm 6 years into being a dad and I think I'm a much better father than I would have been if I weren't in property management because of some of what I just said.
Love it. Yeah. A lot of people can deal with an angry tenant. Few people can deal with that angry 4-year-old.
Amen, brother.
No truer words. All right, Dustin, what about you?
Yeah, it's some pretty tough statements to follow there. I think that my skin is way thicker than it used to be. But then I think that learning the skill of being able to operate outside of your emotions, like you know what the right thing is to do, and you need to be disciplined to do that because that's what not only a professional does. So, on a business professional level, that's what's expected of you. But, really more importantly, like that's what a man of integrity does is you do things that are hard. You lean into them regardless of how you feel about them or how other people want you to feel. And, specifically with owners and tenants and vendors, whoever, we have our industry is the scapegoat of a lot of issues, like from why is this maintenance issue the way it is to why am I not paid in the time that I want to be? Why is my experience this and that? And so leaning into trying to fully take on responsibility, as a man, as a husband, and as a dad myself, I hope that it's made me better. I do confess though, there's days that I go home and maybe property management isn't making me a better husband, but I've got a strong wife too. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think we can all agree our 9 to 5 is sometimes a lot easier than our 5 to 9. Yeah, she had a newborn. I mentioned Matt's about to have a second kid in probably about a month, and I got a 4.5-year-old, sorry, a 4-year-old, a 2.5-year-old, and a newborn. Yeah, man, it's Cuban Missile Crisis every evening to get that kid to eat some chicken.
Congrats on the newborn.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you guys. We're going to land the plane here with a little lightning round. And this has been fun with the group session here, all three of you. So what I'd like to do is we'll just do, I guess, order. We'll go Dustin, Josh, Beau. All right. Sorry, I'm talking about kids and now I'm like bossing y'all around. All right. We'll do Dustin, Josh, Beau. And I got 3 rapid fire questions to wrap us up. Cool. All right. Dustin, what's the favorite tool or app for your business right now? And it does not have to be a specific PM tool.
My favorite has been, well, I'm going to cheat, but the remote team members is my favorite thing right now.
Love it. Who'd y'all use to find those?
Pavago is the name of it.
Cool.
They, rather than, a placement, a larger one-time placement fee, they have like a monthly subscription with unlimited replacements. So it's been really good.
Cool. Yeah, I actually made my first hire for remote team members this year, and it's been a total game changer. All right, Josh, what you got?
So we've systemized our meeting structure. Bloom Growth is the name of the tool, but I think like any meeting structure tool is gonna just help your meetings like exponentially. And we've just never like everybody's hated meetings before we had a structure, and now like I feel like everybody really enjoys meetings, actually get work done, which is great. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
You,
So
you said blue growth?
Bloom Growth is the name of it. But I think it's like any, if you just structurize your meetings like across your whole company, I think that'll just be a game changer. But yeah, that tool does help us to keep them all consistent and together.
Cool. That's great. Yeah, because I hate meetings, but hey, Skype me in the next one. All right, Beau, what you got, man?
This is going to be cheesy, but Canva is awesome. And
Game
I was
changer.
just using it. It's just,
CDO right
I
there, man.
just love my Canva,
CD.
but it really has been helpful just to just make our brand look more professional. If it could be just like letterhead or business cards, but also, online things, that kind of stuff. So, I will second what Josh said though. We implemented the Bloom Growth, which is essentially it's a tool that helps you kind of have meetings as outlined by like EOS, I believe. It's been very helpful. All of our meetings look pretty much the same format, which can get old if you're in repetitive meetings, but I think for our team members, they're really productive. So yeah,
that's awesome.
I'll split it.
Well, so what about a book or podcast every PM leader should check out?
Man, book or podcast. I've been, speaking of stress, I've liked some of, I think it's Gary Brecka's podcast about health and wellness. And, everyone's doing their New Year's resolutions right now, so as am I. So I'm in the gym and trying to take care of myself and de-stress and do those things and take care of myself. I might be bold quicker, via property management than I was, but I don't want to be less healthy overall. So there you go.
Is that the carnivore meat guy?
No, it's not, but he's been on like Joe Rogan and some of these others as well. He's like a health and wellness guy.
Yeah. So I started my business 2 years ago, and it's a little hard to hit the gym. It makes it a little easier when your 2-year-old looks at you and says, "Daddy's pregnant." Yeah, that's a true story. Yeah. Well, she didn't say that verbatim, but she said, she said something about daddy's belly, and my wife was 7 months pregnant at the time, and she basically said they look the same, and I was like, okay, changes need to be made. So, and go to your room. That's what I said. So, all right, what you got, Josh?
I'm in a phase of life where I read for fun and I listen to podcasts for fun. So, yeah, I don't know if I really have a property management.
Oh no, it doesn't have to be property management. Give us the fun ones, man. It's Unfiltered.
Man, what was the funnest? I read the 3-Body Problem last year. That was the funnest book that I read. It's just a sci-fi novel.
Nice.
And then, I do listen to a lot of like the cryptid podcasts just because they're really entertaining. So Sasquatch Chronicles and Haunted Cosmos, those are just great. Just the best.
We're gonna tag these folks on LinkedIn. They're gonna be like, "What is going on?" They probably don't even have a LinkedIn. That's great.
So those are my recommendations, I guess.
I like it. Back to Sasquatch. Beau, what you got, man?
I think probably the most influential property management related piece of media I've interacted with was the Profitable Property Management podcast by Jordan Wela. I don't know if he's making it anymore, but I listened to that pretty religiously for a while and it was really good. So yeah, I think he approaches, or that podcast is kind of more from a business standpoint, but it's specific to property management. Been super helpful.
Cool. Well, last question here, guys. What's one word to describe the future of PM? Dustin, kick us off.
I would say integrity, professionalism, and systems.
Well, you just took all 3, so now Beau and Josh can't answer.
Sorry, my bad.
I'm just kidding. No, that's great, man. What you got?
Yeah, consistency. I think, that's just key. Like that's part of why me as a real estate agent enjoy property management is because you get, there's a consistent commission or a consistent, but I think like us as a company, we are also consistent. We have standards, procedures. Consistency has served us well. And I think those that want to stick with it and keep in this industry, just consistency. Put the reps in, keep doing the things. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Love it. Final word, but the CDO.
It's 3 words, not one. Lunar real estate. They're going to need property managers up there. So,
Oh, I gotcha.
yeah.
Love that. Please tell me you bought lunarrealestate.com.
Yeah. No, I bought property management lunar real estate.
Yeah.
Let's go. Yeah, over here, Matt Spears is all happy he got propertymanagement.com. He
Yeah.
doesn't have the lunar.
Yeah.
So he's missing out.
Yep. That's the future, man.
That's great, man. Yeah, someone's got to manage it, you know?
Yeah.
So come on, Elon. Call me. Well, cool, guys. Well, hey, once again, I really appreciate it. I know y'all have had a lot going on. For the record, that story about the cops was 100% true. So Dustin, like, you might have to go take care of that, but we appreciate you jumping on here for 30, 45 minutes. You guys are building something special. Hope to see y'all at Broker Owner or another conference sometime soon, or I just need to come to Montana and do an on-site visit. Matt did buy a Sprinter van that's getting wrapped right now for propertymanagement.com, and it's a unfiltered podcast studio inside. So you never know. We might head up north and see you guys for a repeat episode.
Do it. It'd be great.
Let's go.
Awesome, guys. Well, I appreciate it. And thanks again.
Yeah, cool.
Good to talk to you, man.